You in the crowd.
And we're back over at the other side of the Salesforce Live stage, where John and I have now been joined by Parker Harris and Steve Fisher, who have been involved in rolling out some pretty significant announcements at the keynote today. Obviously, Steve teeing up the crowd for the big platform keynote tomorrow, but you still showed us some pretty substantial things about this new offering. Not a new technology, not a new database, but just a new offering of our proven multi-tenant database, database.com. Tell us a little more about what that means to the entry-level developer and the enterprise developer.
Sure, well I think we've seen with the Sales Cloud, the Service Cloud, and Force.com, the power of just being able to use technology, tap in, all of the barriers are gone, and our vision around database.com is to just take that to the next level. And to recognize that the core of what's happening in the cloud is the transformation of the database.
Yes.
And we want to open that up to everybody. So everybody can benefit from the power of having a cloud database, a cloud data utility that just works, scales itself, upgrades itself, manages itself. That is not like the old model. And we think that will be sort of take enterprise IT to the next level.
Now Parker, Steve just used an interesting phrase, a cloud to database.
Yes.
I have a feeling this is more than just tables of integers and floating points and text fields. There's some stuff in a cloud to database that are data types that are new and very significant, aren't there?
I have a quick question for you though.
Sure.
Do you call this coffee talk?
We do.
We do, all right.
In
Just
5 or 6
checking.
different languages.
All right.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to answer your question a little differently.
I know you are, Parker.
David Kirkpatrick came to one of our offsites.
Yes.
He wrote a book
of
about
the Facebook effect. Yes.
And he talked about Mark Zuckerberg's vision of Facebook.
Yes.
Of Facebook descending below the level of the internet, that at some point it disappears. And if you think about database.com, you think about what we're doing with our platform,
yes.
We want the pieces of our technology that we spent 12 years creating to start to fall below everything. So if you need a database, there's a database there.
Yes.
And yes, it's a social database, so it has chatter in it. It has analytics. It has much more than just store data in a database. It has a lot more. But all this functionality is going to be really part of a platform, and everything we do is going to be a platform. We're going to pull apart all of our technology. We've pulled the database out, so you can get a database. We're pulling chatter out. We can get anything you want. We're going to have language as a service. We have that with VMforce.
Yes.
Right? We run Java. We run Apex. We want to keep adding more. And so it's just going to be an evolution of us as an entire platform. And you'll no longer see us as an applications company. You'll see us as a company that provides plumbing to create all kinds of things on the internet.
So in the same way that we were our own most demanding user of Force.com before we offered it to the independent developer,
yes.
Force.com was the most demanding user of Database.com, but now we are taking off another layer and saying, well, if you want to, you can use that now.
Exactly right. And developers these days want a choice.
Yes.
You saw in the keynote, we said, well, if you want to use Amazon Web Services and write in PHP,
yes.
Fine. If you want to write in Perl, you want to write in Ruby, you want to write in Java, you want to write in Apex, you're going to be able to use all these different technologies, some of which we're going to provide directly.
Yes.
And I think arguably that they will be even more powerful. Yeah. But if you want to have some choice, we're going to empower choice. And CloudStalk yesterday was an example of that. An open developers conference where anyone was invited. Google was there. Right. Everybody was there showing their technology. It was not specific to Salesforce.
John, I know that you've been involved in some of the conversations with select members of the analyst community and so on before today's public unveiling of database.com. Have you encountered any frequent and obvious misconceptions that need to be promptly addressed before people misunderstand what this is about?
I think most people when in the analyst community, when we say database.com, they want to compare it to something that exists already or something that they've been covering for 10 or 15 or 20 years.
Yes.
And they say, well, do you have these functions? And what our job is to change that direction. So I would ask Parker and Steve, well, how are we changing that direction? That would be a question an analyst asks.
Well, I think the biggest thing happening in our industry, the most exciting thing is the move towards mobility. That all of us, and we saw Mark with his 5 devices and his iPad, that may be a little extreme, but all of us are fundamentally accessing information from our mobile devices far more than from PCs anymore.
You saw the Model Metrics booth when I was live on the show floor?
That looked like organ pipes.
All of those mobile devices there? Yeah, they get it.
They all sorted by size.
They get it.
But I think, if you think about it, when databases, the old model for databases, when that was created, that was the world of the local area network, behind the firewall. High-speed connectivity, low latency networks. That's just not the world of today. The world of today is devices everywhere,
yes.
accessing information everywhere, collaborating everywhere. The only database that makes any sense in that world is a cloud database. It has to be out there on the internet. It needs to be secure, but it needs to be on the cloud, it needs to be shared. The old model makes no sense in the world of mobility.
It's interesting that you bring up the latency word, because just the other day, I had someone say, well, when are you going to put a data center in my continent? I say, how much do you think your physical distance from, in his case, Singapore, is actually contributing to your latency? And he named a figure, and I said, let's just do the math. Speed of light, this much distance. I'm sorry, the physical distance is at most 10% of what you're measuring. And the rest is, does it work? Is it efficient?
Peter,
is it good logic?
If you put the cloud in a box, it's not necessarily accessible from that mobile device, is it?
No, not even slightly.
The reason people, I think, feel that way is because if you build applications using the old model, it's just not optimized for the kind of the world of the internet, bulk operations, next generation APIs. That is not, it's designed for the world of the LAN.
And that's what's so perverse, is that I hear people being invited to build themselves yet another fortress through which they will then need to tunnel out through the walls to do anything actually interesting. And that just seems so perverse.
It makes no sense in today's world.
In fact, I'm going to share with you an inspiration that came to me yesterday morning, which is, how many private cloud buyers does it take to change a light bulb?
How many?
Oh my gosh, there's hardware involved? I think the sudden realization that
I don't think my wife would get that.
I need more coffee for that one.
My wife did. But I think the sudden realization that hardware will be involved is coming as a rude shock to a lot of people. Guys, it's great to have you here to reinforce some of these important messages, and I know that the platform keynote tomorrow fully deserves to be as packed as the one was this morning. Thanks to all of you for being with us for Salesforce Live.